Welcome each and every one on today for this time of fellowship in the Word of the living God. I'm so thankful to be with you once again for this time to share in the Lord's principles, to go into the Word of God together. I am our Lord's King, and I welcome you on today to the Living Water Church of God Devotional. On today, I want to go into part 2 of the subject of addressing grief. And today's subject that I desire to talk about, it is my prayer and it is my desire that as you listen to this devotion, if it speaks to you, then may it minister to you the way that it needs to minister. And if it does not apply to you, but you know of someone who it may be a blessing to, if you feel led to share this, then I encourage you, share this word with that individual that may be placed upon your spirit and in your mind. On today, I want to talk about the subject of the dangers of losing yourself when processing through grief. Dangers of losing yourself when processing through grief. Grief in itself, it does a lot to a person's psyche. It does so many things to your mindset. It affects you psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. It can affect you in so many different aspects of your life. And on today, when we look at, there are dangers of losing yourself when processing through grief. Grief, it is a natural process. And grief, as stated in the previous devotion on last week, grief can only be experienced where a bond has existed between a person and another person or a thing. Where there is no bond, then many times, then the level of grief is very minimal or even non-existent. But where a person has shared a bond, especially in the life and with the life of another person in some form of a relationship, if it was a friendship, if it was a personal relationship, if it was husband and wife, if it's family, even in other areas of your life, then where there was a bond, then many times we do go through the process of grief because we no longer share that connection with the individual. We no longer have access to that individual in our life. So we do go through a season of grief. And this is not something that many times when people are processing through grief, I think one of the most inconsiderate and one of the most dangerous things you can say to another person or to an individual is to tell the person to just get over it. You may have experienced grief, and it could have been the result of physical death. It could have been the result of a friendship that was very dear that became severed. A personal relationship, maybe someone you were involved with long term, whether you were married or not married. Could have been a relationship for us, maybe parent, child, or siblings, or maybe other family, grandparents, different areas of your life where that connection, it was severed. And it could have been 5 years ago. It may have been 10 years. It may have been 12 years or 17 years. And each person processes through grief totally different ways. And it is amazing how in all of our experiences, sometimes when you share, well, this happened to me maybe in 1999, and the wounds and the sting of it and the effects of it, it feels sometimes so fresh, even on today, February 28th, 2019. Now that may seem like a long time to some people, but to maybe someone else, it may seem just like yesterday. The wound may still feel that fresh and that much alive in your life. So sometimes when talking maybe with another person, they may judge it and they may say or kind of chop it up. You're telling me you're still dealing with this? You are still going through this? I mean, why don't you just get over it? Well, one thing about when we are grieving, when we are experiencing grief, when we are processing with grief, in grief, and through grief. It's easier to tell a person just get over it. And someone can say the same thing to the person that made that statement, maybe with something traumatic that they experienced in their life. Well, why don't you get over when this happened to you? And the person can become defensive and say, well, you do not know what I am going through. And the other person mutually has that same right to feel the same way. You have no right of what I am going through. It is not wise to use those words because each of us, we process through grief totally different. But the dangers that I want to talk about on today, these are two dangers. And the two dangers, they have subcategories attached to them. Two of the things that we want to look at on today when you're talking about the dangers of losing yourself when processing through grief is number one, becoming excessive, over excessive introverted and over excessive extroverted. When a person becomes over excessive introverted, you become withdrawn to an extent that it becomes a very dangerous withdrawal. Now, do not get me wrong. I mean, when we are processing through grief and we may experience things from an introverted perspective, there are times that, yes, we want to kind of be to ourselves and we want to have that privacy and we want to have that space so that we can process through this. But some individuals, they become over introverted to the extent they withdraw from all forms of a quality life. They literally can become so introverted that now the introverted has crossed over into a state of fear, wherein they get into the fear of they stop living. They get into the fear of they stop socializing. They get into the fear of becoming unattached. They get into the fear of, well, let me rephrase, they get into the fear of being attached to people, being close to people. They get into the fear of, they are afraid and have a fear of leaving their environment, leaving their physical dwelling, leaving their house. They get into the fear of allowing people to even come into their physical dwelling, to be in their physical presence. They go through many phobias and different things. And these things begin to just overrun and take over their life. So they become over excessive introverted to the extent that each and every day life is literally passing them by. And it can get to a place where it is so hard because of the grief that they are experiencing that they will not and cannot reacclimate themselves back into a place of, I have to start living again. I have to start experiencing life. I have to take the positive things from the relationship that I shared with this individual or the individuals in my life, and these memories and these things, and build on this, versus I have become totally reclusive, totally withdrawn, and I have totally shut down in every way possible. Some people can become so over excessive introverted that, let's say for instance, this person may have been the type of person who liked to dress. They stop dressing. They may stop grooming themselves, combing their hair, doing things to enhance, maybe their beauty. All kind of little things of the person of who they were. It's like this person is going through a continual death each and every day because the person is literally dying over and over and over from the inside out. And then we want to look at also, if someone wants to try to even get close to that person because they have become over excessive introverted, they will not let anyone get close to them. And sometimes it can even lead to a place of even creating an imaginary alternate reality that they want to start living in. Then we want to look at the other side. When a person becomes over excessive extroverted, then this can be very dangerous also, because it can lead you into becoming very, very excessive as far as just outgoing, over excessive when it comes to socializing, to fill the place, to try to fill the void, to try to feel the pain. Then they may use things, and they may use so many other people to suffice for where they are hurting. So what they do, it can cause the individual to to do things to the extent of they can become very over excessive in their sex life. And I am calling this and speaking this exactly as it is. They can become very over excessively sexually active, and they're trying to fill a void. They can go from partner to partner to partner, and this can be single people, and it can even lead to dangers even with people who are married, wherein they can be in so much pain and in a place of vulnerability that they open themselves up to people who normally they would not even open themselves up to, and allow and invite these individuals into their life. They can as well become very social extroverts to the extent it is a consistent party going on. They're trying to find a party. They they're trying to drink their pain away, so they can find themselves, they're turning up, as well as they're becoming turned out, doing all kind of things that they normally would not do if they were in their right state of mind. They can find themselves just involved in so many things to fill the void of their pain, to the extent they think that they are living, but at the same time they are killing themselves in so many other areas of their life. The introvert and the extrovert becoming overly excessive in those two areas, you are literally experiencing another form of death in your life. You experience another form of danger. I like the word of God in John chapter 11 verse 25 and 26, where it says, Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? When Jesus was speaking at that time, Jesus knew that Mary and Martha, they were going through a process of grief because of their brother Lazarus. And when Jesus was saying that I am the resurrection and the life, he was saying that I am the source and I am your answer through which you are able to come to me. You are able to bring your hurt, your pain, your brokenness, your suffering, your wounds, all of these things to me. I will show you how to stand back up, how to face the pain, how to work with the pain. I will show you how to live again. On your own, you will lose yourself. You will die. But through me, I will show you how to heal and how to grow and how to use this experience not only for your life, but also for another person who's going to experience this, that I am the way, the truth, and the life, even in your times of sorrow, in the valley of the shadow of death. May this devotional be a blessing to you and encouragement. Let us remember there are dangers to losing yourself in grief, but the Lord is still the answer. God bless you.